Okay guys, so today I just want to do a quick video about how to sew horsehair in the middle of my prom series. Just because I know when I was first starting out, it wasn't really any videos on how to sew it, and I was extremely confused and I did it incorrectly in the beginning when I first started. So I'm just going to do a quick video just to show you how to do it. So horsehair is a fabric that is used at the bottom of gowns, or sometimes in the sleeves, or sometimes if you see the accessory pieces that are sewn on the gown. But it's really like a stabilizing fabric, I guess you could kind of say that, maybe not, but it's a fabric that makes the bottom of your gown firm and it finishes it off, so it gives it the curly look at the bottom. Now the trick for one is to make sure when you order horsehair, you order the stiff version, not the soft one. The soft one doesn't give you the curls that are at the bottom of your gown. It's really flimsy, so make sure it says stiff when you're ordering it. This right here is a 3-inch, I believe. Let me double check though. I think this one is 3-inch. Yeah, so this is a 3-inch horsehair. Typically I'll use a 3-inch or a 5-inch, but it really doesn't matter. Honestly, they both look good, 3-inch or 5-inch. And for the most part I use the white clear version. Sometimes if I have black gowns, I will order the black horsehair and I'll use that, but typically I use this one. Unless it is a black gown, then I will use it. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So this is the mermaid of the bottom of one of my gowns. Sorry, it has some stitches on it. So I need to insert the horsehair at the bottom of it. So let me find the bottom. Okay, cool. Bottom, back. Okay. So on the bottom of my gown for this particular fabric, I've used the serger. I don't know if you guys can see and put it up against the wall. I've used the serger so it can have a clean finish on both sides of it. And for horsehair, what you have to do is you want to sew it on top. So this is the bottom of my gown. This is my horsehair. I'm going to place it here at the bottom of the gown. You have to sew all the way around the gown at the bottom with this fabric. Now if you are able to serge your garment, it's really good because it kind of gives you like a line tracer, because you know right at the end. But if your gown is not finished at the end and it's just your typical sequence gown, it's fine too. Just make sure when you cut the bottom of your mermaid, you've cut it evenly so that when you insert your horsehair, it inserts all around the bottom evenly and gives you a nice circle with the waves and everything that you want at the bottom. If your circle is off or is not completely round, you will have an error when it's time for you to do your horsehair. So make sure you finish it off, you put it on your mannequin or your dress form, and you've made sure it was a complete circle. All right, so this is the bottom of my gown. I'm placing the horsehair right here. So the bottom of my horsehair and the bottom of my gown right there, edge to edge. All right, and I am sewing it on top. The first time that you sew the horsehair, you don't sew it under the bottom of it, you sew it on top, because once you go all the way around the bottom and it's sewed on, you're going to fold it under. Okay, so really quickly I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew this all the way around the whole bottom of my gown, and then I'll show you the second step. Okay, so hold on really quick and I'm going to sew it all in. Part two, after you've sewn your horsehair on top, because remember this is the bottom of our gown and we're placing our horsehair to sew it on top of the bottom. Okay, so after you've sewn it all the way around the bottom, you'll have a stitch at the top like this. So this will be your front, this is the back of your gown, I'm sorry, or the inside of your gown, and you've sewn it on top of the bottom of your gown. What you're going to do is you're going to flip it towards you. Boom. So as you flip it towards you, you create this. And this is the inside of your gown. This is the outside of your gown. Let me do that again. So we sewed it on top all the way around the bottom. After we finish and we lift it, we bend the horsehair under. Sorry, it's my alarm. Woo. Okay, so we sewed it on the top, sewed it all the way around the bottom, all the way around the bottom, bottom. This is the inside, this is the outside. We sewed it on the outside around the bottom. Step 2 would be to take the horsehair, because you've only sewn one part, remember, ends to end. You take the horsehair and you literally flip it over, okay? When you flip it over, it'll look like this. Can you see? Close up. Look like this, right? So the next step to do after you flip it over is literally take it back to your sewing machine. And you're going to pull it as tight as you can, because you want to make sure this is even as you go around the bottom. Pull it as tight as you can. And you're going to stitch all around. Let me hold it this way. You're going to stitch all the way around the whole bottom of the gown, okay? And once you do that stitch, the stitch will show on this side. So make sure you take your time and sew really slow, because you will be able to see this stitch on the outside, okay? So again, last time, sewed it all the way on the top, flip it, boom. This is the outside. We sewed it to the outside. It was like this, laying down, sewed it, flipped it, boom. Take it back to the machine, stitch all the way around the bottom, okay? And after you do that, I'm going to come back once I sew mine and show you the last final step of inserting and sewing your horsehair at the bottom of your gown, okay? Leave me a comment. You can always connect with me via Instagram at Miss Sewology, or my prom gown page, which is at Honesty Gray. And let me know if you tried my method, how it turned out for you. Did it help you? It didn't help you, or whatever. Just let me know. All right, stay tuned as I finish up the bottom of this. Welcome back, and we're now going to be on the final step of sewing our horsehair in. As you can see right here, I went ahead and I did the first step, which was sewing it on top. Second step, folding over. So the last step in completing your horsehair would be after you did step 2 and you've sewn it down on the inside. I don't know if you can see it here. And remember, I said being careful with your stitch and taking your time, because you can see it. So this is the outside of the garment at the bottom. And although your client may notice it, they may not, you will. But can you see my stitches here all around the bottom that I've sewn? This is why I said you want to take your time and be careful with it. And be as neat as possible, because you can actually see the stitches from the outside, and nothing would be worse than literally these stitches being just extremely crooked. So try to take your time and make them as neat as possible. So as we go into the final step, what I like to do, you have to have a stitch to pretty much get this flap here to stay down in the inside. So you have two options. You can sew it from the outside here, or you can flip it over again and sew it from the inside. I personally like to sew mine on the inside, because remember, the bottom of your gown is in a circle, so therefore it needs to be in a circular motion, and you need to make sure you are keeping it pretty much even, because that stitch you'll be able to see on the outside. So on this part also, again, really take your time as you sew around and make sure your stitches are even. So you can either sew it on the outside part here if you like, down. And also another thing, when you do this part, if you're new to this is your first time doing it, or this is maybe only your third time doing it, pin it. Use pins. Pin it, pin it, pin it. I've been doing it now for so long, I don't pin it. But in the beginning, I would advise you to pin it just to make sure it all lays out evenly and you don't have any issues. Because if you don't pin it on either step, if on the first step on the outside, you really don't have to pin, you can just sew it there. But I recommend when you flip it over, you pin it. And then the last step, when you're flipping in the inside, you're pinning too, if you're new to it. If not, it's a possibility it may end up uneven. But again, you're going to pretty much attach this last flap to the inside of your garment. So you can sew it on the outside to have it go around. Or what I like to do is I like to do mine from the inside so that I can see that the stitch is staying even. Sometimes it can get a little lost here and when you're freehanding it. So I like to do it from the inside. But it is totally your preference. So I'm going to go ahead, and the last step of it is sewing the horsehair to the inside of the gown. So I'm literally going to take it, put this under my machine, and I'm going to sew right here, okay, where the flap, sewing it down to the garment. And then I will be finished my horsehair, and at the end of the video I will show you guys the results. I may not show it on this one because I haven't attached the skirt and the bodice to this whole gown yet to put it on the mannequin, but I do have another gown that I did it for, a blue version. So what I'll probably do is I'll post the blue version at the end just to give you a full look on how it looks once you put your mermaid at the bottom of your gowns. All right, so stay tuned. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel so I can keep the video